Welcome to the Powerless Leader Podcast, where we empower you with the tools, strategies, and courage to influence those above you, inspire those alongside you, and ignite the leader within, even when it feels like you have no authority at all. Join us every other Thursday morning as we redefine leadership together, starting now. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our podcast again. I'm glad to know you're here. If you're watching me on YouTube, you get to see what my office looks like and everything around me. And if you're not, well, you should, because, well, then you can see the Batman cowl sitting behind me and a few other things that might pique your interest in the background. Who knows? Well, again, welcome. In our last episode, I introduced the concept of the powerless leader, and we talked about how we lead through building influence. And if we don't build influence, we're not going to be able to have our voices heard. And today, I want to begin with the foundation of building influence. In this episode, we're going to start with you. And in fact, we're going to spend talking about you over the next several episodes before we move on to leading others. Because the idea is you have to be able to lead yourself before you can lead others. If you cannot lead yourself, you're not going to do well in the attempt to even have your voices heard or building influence in an organization. So today, to start that foundation, we're going to talk about a mirror. And the thought is, I want you to hold on today. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in your own value, your ability to lead others will always fall short. You will always have a cap on your leadership that never is able to grow if you don't believe in yourself. So let's talk about a mirror for a minute. And probably one of the more famous mirrors out there is the mirror in Snow White. Anybody see that recent movie, Snow White? I didn't, so I'm not going to judge. I've heard good and bad about it. But I have seen the original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In fact, if you go to Disney World, you might see me on that ride from time to time too. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, great ride. Anyway, I digress. So, in the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the queen goes up to a magic mirror and she says, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" Well, the mirror tells her, of course, Snow White. Well, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen Snow White. But let's just say the evil queen turns her bad intent on Snow White, and the evil queen gets it in the end. No spoilers here. Well, maybe. Okay. Well, I do want to talk about the mirror because, to be honest, we don't need a magic mirror. We don't have to have a magic mirror to tell us what's what. Because anytime you look into a mirror is not going to lie to you and tell you something that's false. And that's the God's honest truth. A mirror never lies. And what we need to be able to do is take an honest, deep look at ourselves in that mirror to help build our leadership. John Maxwell likes to say, you must see value in yourself to add value to yourself. If you don't believe you have value, you're not going to be able to lead. People who don't value themselves will struggle to grow. They'll struggle to influence and even empower others. Why? Because they're constantly second-guessing their own worth. That's all it's about. People who do not value themselves will never feel themselves worthy of leading others. And so what do? They always take that back seat. They always sit in the background. They always keep silent when they have so much value they can add to a team or an organization. A powerless leader can't gain influence if they feel themselves are powerless. If you're in the middle of your organization, unseen by decision makers, or maybe you're new in your organization, new to your team, or maybe you're one of those who you don't want to be part of management, but you want your voice heard and it's not being heard. It's very easy to internalize that invisibility to a lack of value. And that's kind of what I felt. I kind of described some of my reaction to COVID, when it happened and what happened to me and my invisibility and how I got just kind of shut down, just not being heard. And that was a problem. And it did impact my value. And I think that impacted millions of people's values because they felt unseen and unheard during that season. Because we had internalized that. And we have to step beyond that. I think one of my greatest cases where what helped me learn to get above that was when I was working in North Carolina for a little while, and I had a mentor then who came along. He said, "George, I want you to come speak on this panel at the state level in Raleigh." And I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, it's a state conference, and we're going to talk about different types of assessment and the need for these things. And you have a good knack for this kind of stuff, so I want you to come speak." And I'm like, okay, I'm not sure why he's picking me. Because to be honest, I didn't feel that value. I kind of knew some things, but why would these state leaders and officials want to hear my voice? And so I was really second guessing myself. And I was asking myself the question, do I even belong in the room? There's a lot of power players here. And I expressed that to my mentor, and he's like, "George, you have a value here and a voice that needs to be heard. Trust in what you know, and people will hear you." And he said something very powerful. "George, you've got to value yourself because you cannot lead others if you don't value yourself. So I'm challenging you and I'm giving you this opportunity to speak." Well, I did. I went on and speak, and I was like, wow, people actually took what I said and they actually heard what I was saying because that mentor stepped up and helped me learn about my own value. And I began to be able to lead others because of it. So how do we do this? How do we look into a mirror and not doubt ourselves? Not see that little, "Ooh, what is that on my forehead?" Or like in my senior high school photo, that big red glob thing on my nose. Yeah, I didn't want that in the yearbook, so I kind of hid it. Well, I want to talk about 3 different ways you can build your worth as a leader. Number 1, talk to yourself as you would a mentee. Yeah, well, you might be saying, "I'm only 17 years old. I'm not in a place to be a mentor." Actually, you are. You can mentor if you have a skill, if you can teach something, if there's something that you are passionate about and you are knowledgeable about, you can teach others. I have students in my classroom who do exactly that. I run an avionics club where students build model rockets. They do model airplanes and things like that. And the leaders of that group mentor others, younger students, on how to do that. And you've got to feel that value in yourself, whether you're 15, 18, 25, 35, 55, or even 75. You have a voice and you have a message where you can pour that into somebody else. You've just got to find that. You've got to believe that you have that ability to do that, because you do. You have a passion, you have knowledge, you have a wisdom that some other people don't have and they need from you. Share that with them. Replace negative self-talk with affirmation of potential. Work to change your mindset. And we're going to focus on mindset in a later episode. But that's a key element there. You need to begin working that out. Treat yourself a mentee. Ask yourself questions And then ask them again after your brain has tried to convince you otherwise. Begin to track your wins. Number one, speak to yourself like you're a mentee. Number two, begin to track your wins, even the little ones. I carry a planner. In my daily planner, I like to write down what worked well today, what didn't. But what was a win today? Track those small little things, even if you feel like it's an insignificant little win. Track it. Make note of it. Refer back to it. Keep a leadership journal where you record moments of influence, where you record moments where maybe you were able to speak into someone's life, help solve a team issue. When you felt a lot of pressure and you were able to stay calm. These are all wins. Trust me, in today's age of the impact of mental health and the level of anxiety that people, especially young people, are feeling, being able to stay calm in a high pressure situation is a win. Write that down. So number one, speak to yourself like you would a mentee or a mentor. Track your wins. And number three, surround yourself with belief builders. This is so important that we have people in our lives who can speak life into us, who can help us build our belief system. If we don't have people that can pour into us, and all we do is surround ourselves with people who are negative, woe is me, who are always just looking at the dark side of things, we're going to think the same way. If we surround ourselves with people who pour into us that negativity, we too will live in that negative world. We need to surround ourselves with people who will speak life and joy and love and healthiness into us, positivity into us, to help us improve that mindset, improve our view of ourselves. And I thank God for the one person in my life who does that to me all the time. When I start having a lot of self-doubt, my wife will speak. She'll tell me one thing. She'll slap me around verbally and say, hey, cut it out. We need people in our lives that can do that and speak that to us. And that's important. So as I wrap up today, I want you to think about some things. What does your inner voice say about your worth? And if you're really struggling with this, I recommend you get help, true professional help. There's nothing wrong with finding someone that can help you build that up. So what is your inner voice saying about your worth? Number two, when was the last time you felt like you had any influence at all, even without a title? Go back and reflect on that. What were you doing in those moments? And I'm not just talking about social media. I'm talking about with people, real people. And I will ask yourself this. Who in your life helps you see the best in yourself? And well, who do you need to tune out? Who do you need just to say, I really can't listen to this person anymore because of that negative influence on me? So this week, as I wrap up, stand in front of the mirror, both literally and figuratively, and ask yourself, do I value what I see? You have value. You have a worth that goes far beyond your comprehension. Find that value, find that worth. And in my next episode in 2 weeks, I'm going to talk about a key to help you begin building that worth and another step towards building influence. So I'd like you to tune in, subscribe, tell your friends, all right? Take one step this week and add value to another person. And in that process, help add value by telling them about our podcast. Share your social media. Share a mirror moment on social media using the hashtag Powerless Leader Podcast. Subscribe, rate, make some comments, share with a fellow leader who needs this. And check out my website at 23lead.com and the powerlessleader.com, powerlessleaderpodcast.com, and follow me. And I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Have a great day.